How are you all doing today? You okay? For a cold Tuesday. Welcome to today's event, Business Management, What Comes Next Alumni Panel. And it's co-organised by our Alumni Relations team, the Westminster Enterprise team, Evgeny McLeod and Dr. Setane Dilek-Vidler. I'm Nick Sanders. I'm the Director of Employability for the School of Management and Marketing, so some of you may come across me in the future. I'm also a senior lecturer here as well. I also have 20 odd years experience in marketing and management as well, so hence why I'm sat here. I'm joined by a panel of recent graduates and a current student from the business management course who will share insights on career options after graduating. The panel will briefly introduce themselves, then I'll put some questions to them, and then you will have the opportunity to put questions to them also. This will be followed by a short networking session for the chance for you guys to come and chat with the panel, network, and where you can speak more with everyone. Just some little bits of housekeeping. The session will be recorded, but you will not be recorded, just so you know, so that's all good. There will be around 30 minutes, as mentioned, after the panel discussion for Q&As. Questions can be asked by either raising your hand, or if you're a little bit shyer, that's fine. We have computers up here, so you can submit questions to Slido by opening the Slido.com app, by opening Slido.com, which is SLIDO.com, and entering the code, which I think is it on the shoulder. It's WCN 1234, or scan the QR code behind it, so it is there with your smartphone. And this recording will also be shared with students afterwards as well, so all students who can't be here today as well can access it, or you can refer back to it if there's anything in particular that you've heard that you want to go back over and clarify. So, enough of me, and enough of all the housekeeping, etc. I'm going to introduce you now to our four panelists. Today we have 3 alumni speakers and 1 final year business management student who not so long ago they sat in the same seats as you and have gone on to pursue their interests in exciting career fields and work placements. So let's welcome them. So we have Bridget, Susanna, Nova and Alina, and instead of me telling you all about them, they're going to tell themselves about you. So if you'd like to kick us, please.
Yeah, so I'm a final year business management student, and I completed a placement year within recruitment, specialising in risk management and quantitative analytics.
Perfect.
Hi, so I'm Nova. I graduated from here very recently in July from the business management course. I specialised in marketing, and currently I am a music marketing professional.
Hey, I'm Susanna, and I completed business management finance here at uni, and I don't work in my industry. I actually work in PR, and yeah, that's it.
Hey, my name is Bridget. I also studied business and management, and now I work for the SFO, so the Serious Fraud Office under the government, and I also have a business called Shema Skincare.
Straight to the questions. So I'll probably work my way through. So first of all, let's start with you, Eleni. Is this the role you're now in? Is this your dream role, basically? And if not, where do you aim to be, and how do you think your current role helps you with that?
So I think for placement year, this was definitely the best position I could have done for experience-wise. I covered a lot of roles in terms of marketing, admin, stakeholder management. Initially, when I first started looking for a placement year, I was interested in the marketing field. It did have similar responsibilities, as advertising the role, as well as presenting the role, selling the role to the candidate, as well as the company. However, what really exposed me to this position was the amount of exposure I had to tier 1 banking clients, which was really what intrigued me and kind of sparked my initial interest in the analytical field. So even though that this was an experience for placement year, it definitely intrigued me into thinking what I want to do in postgraduate. So yeah.
Thank you, good answer. So, Nova, do you want me to reiterate the question for you?
Yes,
Is that okay?
please.
No worries, because it's quite a long one. So is this your dream role, basically? And if not, where do you aim to be, or where do you think you want to get to, basically, and how your current role might help you with that?
So I don't believe that like a dream job is my end goal. Obviously, I always knew I wanted to be in marketing, and I knew I wanted to be in the music industry, and that's why I did my dissertation on those topics, because I knew that I wanted to have something to show at the end of the day when I graduated. But for me, it's more important to like build your week out of like the things that you enjoy doing. So for me, when I graduated and I didn't have like the role that I have now, I built my week through like volunteering at different organizations. So I knew I wanted to go to gigs, I wanted to do artist interviews, I wanted to be backstage. So I made sure to put myself in a bunch of different positions to be able to do that. And that for me was like the dream, the lifestyle, less than like a dream job. So.
And just to build on that a little bit, because I've got a music industry background before I went into marketing, so similar to yourself. But do you see yourself staying within music, or actually as you're getting into the role you're in now, do you maybe think about going into different areas of that, or are you quite open to things?
Okay, so like I wasn't always the best student, and the only thing that made me work hard at school was a career in music, and I was an artist first. So I kind of transitioned into the business end after I realized I really didn't want to be like famous and have all of that and like grinding every day to release albums and stuff. That wasn't really me. So I'm kind of in my dream position now because I get to be involved with like the music industry, and if I get to have that in any capacity, whether that's in marketing now or PR or consulting, I'll be happy.
Yeah. Perfect, thank you, Susanna. Same question, so do you want me to reiterate, or are you okay?
I do remember that.
That's very good, well done you.
Thank you. So when it comes to my role, it is for sure for the moment of my life something that I'm so happy about. And I work, I'm sort of like in a position that after graduating from here, so I graduated in finance in 2020, guys, a long time ago. It was pandemic, so it was also a very, very difficult period of time in like job market. And I realized that human connection is so important to me. I am freaking extroverted. I don't know if you've noticed already, but yeah, I do like to talk a lot. So what happened is when I started looking for jobs, I realized that the financial industry might be a little bit tough for like handling with my extroverty, and like I don't know, financial analyst was not the case for me. Like that wasn't anything that I would consider ever. But I somehow find a way to connect my personality and my interest to PR and marketing in general with finance, because my current role is I'm a client success manager at a very niche agency, and we specialize in PR for C-suite executives. And I mostly actually handle financial people. So my financial background is very important here, but still, as Nova said, the lifestyle was also very important to me. So the career and the job has to be like intertwined with the lifestyle that I'm living, and any sort of like speaking engagements, connecting, networking especially was very, very important to me. Also like any in-person events, which by the way wasn't a thing for almost 2 years, obviously because of pandemic, but thanks to this role, I think I'm at this position that I can say at this moment of my life I'm really happy about. Yeah.
I think that's interesting. You come from a very different background, you know, you've gone into the comms, but actually you find with finance as well, people who do comms don't necessarily know a lot about finance, but if you've got to communicate finance, you need to know about finance.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think we're also finding as well that law is another area that they're looking for business management students constantly at the moment. So like 60-70% of the companies, 100% of the companies are looking at 60-70% of their people that they're looking to actually onboard actually have a business and management degree rather than a law degree, because it only takes an extra year to give you a law degree as well on top. So I think it shows that actually where you're starting doesn't necessarily mean where you're going to end up, and it's good to kind of keep your mind options open, isn't it? I think is definitely the thing from that.
100%. You just never know how it's gonna end up,
Yes.
and like sometimes the pathway is going to be maybe a little bit different than what you expected, but the end result might actually surprise you. It surprised me.
No, that's awesome. Bridget, could you tell about, do you want me to reiterate? Are you okay with the question?
Yeah, the last part, because there was something.
That's okay, yeah. So again, if it's your dream role, if not, where do you aim to be, and how do you think your current role helps you with that as well? And probably you've got 2 caps you're wearing here, so it'd be great to hear from you on that respect.
So I'm very multifaceted, should I say. I do a lot, and even the small amount that I mentioned was just a fraction. Like Nova, I am also, I wouldn't say I'm in the music industry, but I've always been musically capable, should I say, since I was very young. So I'm in like 2 pies as well. And the reason why I'm mentioning everything is because I want to point out everything to all of you, that you can be anything you want to be. You don't have to go down one route. You can go down 100 routes if you want to. One thing about when you're in your 20s or when you're in your early teens is you're just figuring out life. And that's how life is just going to go, probably until you enter your 30s. That's probably when you're going to realize, okay, this is where I want to go, this is the route I want to take. But don't feel any pressure to have everything sorted right now. Try every single route. And I'm 23, and that's the stage I am now. I'm doing music, I have my business going for me, I'm working with the government, I'm doing loads of things, and eventually the path will start to narrow as I get older, and I'll start to know that, okay, this is what I'm called to do. So my dream role, I'm not doing my dream role, I guess. I'm doing what I love, which is more important. As long as you're content, and what you're waking up and you feel happy about what you're doing every single day, that's the most important thing.
Excellent, thank you. I've had a question coming up. I'm going to ask questions to the end, but I just thought it might be relevant just to ask it now, just to get so the audience kind of get a feel of the kind of similarities with you guys as well. Just as far as age groups, if you mentioned, did you say 23? So what's your ages, just to help with the audience, if that's okay?
Usually ladies don't like.
I know they don't. I'm very sorry. It is anonymous. I have no idea. If you don't mind, you can say no if you don't want to.
Okay. I'm turning 26 in 2 weeks, but I wish you
That's young.
I hope you wish me happy birthday.
I will wish you happy
Question.
birthday. But that's young. Don't worry. That's very interesting.
Thanks.
Anybody else would like to? You don't have to if you don't want to.
I'm 24.
24.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'm 21.
And 21. So, again, good young age range there. I'm not those ages, so I can say you are young, all of you. So again, very similar to the age ranges in this room as well. So again, just shows you what you can achieve a little bit as well straight away. Okay, so I might work my way down a little bit from the other end, kind of, if that's okay. How can you, so I'm going to give this one to you first of all, Bridget. How can you ensure to further develop your skills post, obviously, graduation, which you've already done, but does your place of work offer anything for this, i.e. kind of like mentoring or training or learning, any other areas that help you kind of expand your knowledge or experience your skills?
Yeah, so my job, they offer a lot of risk management, because anything fraud related, you kind of have to be, have a lot of knowledge in regards to risk. So they give us a lot of training. I think we get training every week. It never stops, and sometimes I'm really fed up of the training. But the great thing about it is, like, let's say you're doing a role and you're like, I'm not too sure if this is for me. The training that you receive could be vital in the next 5 years. Like, you never know when you're going to need that bit of training. So yes, there's some days where I'm like, I don't really want to do this, how it's relevant to me. And then I just remember that I can need this in the next 10 years, in the next 5 years. And yeah, I think it's really important to have a good working environment where they give you training, they give you mentorship, they give you all these things in place that can kind of, so you're not almost stagnant in your role as well. Because some people don't want to climb the corporate ladder, some people just want to stay where they are, some people just want to go to different routes. But wherever you are, I mean, it's good to have those options available. So my work. I think I answered the question.
You did. But actually, there's just one question I want to ask you on top of that as well, because you're very entrepreneurial and you have your own business. So what about the skills involved within that? Because obviously it's about developing all the time, isn't it? Learning, etc. within a role like that.
Yeah, so what's a recent training I've done? In terms of risk handling, let's just say anything money, fraud, it's explanatory, sorry. I guess when you're just starting off your business or you're in the first 5 years, you're kind of like a one-man show most of the time, unless you're like with somebody else. So you kind of have to know everything. And I think that's one of the things that was good that I did business management, because business management gives you like a holistic view to everything. It gives you like you put your foot in everything basically, if that makes sense. So you're getting a bit of this, a bit of that, and whereas like with other courses, you won't really, it's kind of narrow in terms of the knowledge that you receive. So right now it's helping me in my business. The training that they're giving me at work, the risk training is helping me to really take a lot of care when you're handling finances, when you're handling people's finances, orders. I hope that answers the
No,
question.
that does. Thank you. That's awesome. And Susanna, can I ask you the same question as well? So what kind of training or skills or etc. are you developing in your roles?
Absolutely. So my company also offers like mentoring and training and coaching as well. And there is a lot of like support when it comes to career development and figuring out like, okay, what's the next step for me? But that is obviously great, but something that my company also offers, just because of like the nature of the role, is the networking and like what I'm exposed to and who I'm exposed to. So I've been working my company 3 years and 10 days, 11 days, and thanks to that, I was able to meet so many people, obviously very successful people as well, because we are we work with C-suite executives. So for me, this networking, I think my company subconsciously is giving us that opportunity as well, and that has been absolutely a game changer, because that is like a mentorship within the networking as well, because obviously my role is also building a relationship, a very long-lasting relationship basically between the client and the business. And there's a lot of times when we're sort of navigating through like business conversation, then a bit of a personal one as well, and then business again. And when it comes to the beauty of networking as well, I think something that I experienced for the past 3 years is a lot of those successful people, they have this, I always call it like maternal paternal sort of thing happening, that they see themselves in you and they just really want to help you. And in general, I figured out that you just gotta be curious, you just gotta like trust the process, and ask and be open to the guidance as well, and that's also like the networking that really helps with that.
No, that's awesome. And would you say a big part of that and how you're developing this is the communication aspect, communication skills within this, soft skills communication?
Yeah, absolutely. The communication, like the relationship building, that's for sure. And also something, as Bridget said, the course, like for example, like the general business management, also gives you the holistic view of businesses. And even though my role is obviously like financially sort of focused, you have knowledge, a bit of knowledge about like every single like aspect of like business and like how the business world in general works, and that also can really help you with creating relationships and small talks. And honestly, it's just great to have like a bit of understanding of literally everything.
Yeah, small talk can be tough as well sometimes. Just having those conversation starters to get the conversation going, to try and find out a bit about something is quite difficult sometimes.
Absolutely. Sometimes.
Thank you. Nova, the same question to you, please, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. I think my industry is a bit different in that there's not a lot of like publicly traded information about the music industry, and it's a lot of the skills and especially like the language that they use is things that you wouldn't use unless you're specifically in that industry. So when I graduated and I had like no job prospects, I was like, I really just need to like tap into the music landscape in London, and I did a year abroad in Toronto. So I did a lot of volunteering. So for me, I had to teach myself those skills because that's like freelancing, and that was really tough. So for any of you that are wanting to go into a highly competitive industry where you're going to have to learn a lot of those skills off your own back and in your own time, make sure that it's something that you're willing to dedicate your lifestyle to. Because I attended, I think, maybe like over 50 networking events. I paid out of my own pocket to go to faraway lands and to come back, and I did a lot of free work. And had to learn how to do that work because I wasn't getting trained, and it took up basically my whole week, like Monday through Sunday and then again, and the only reason I was able to stick it through is because I knew the end goal was like my dream and just like where I wanted to be and the kind of work I wanted to do and the kind of clients I wanted to have. So I wouldn't have been able to do that if, for example, it was in finance, because I suck at numbers and I hate doing them. So I think like in terms of if you're doing like self-learning and you are, you graduate and then you want to switch paths or you want to pivot, then make sure that where you're pivoting to, you're like committed to it and you take it very seriously, because you will have to do a lot of like self-learning and putting your own time into it. And it's not like university where your lecturers will be like, oh, you need to have this in by this time. You don't show up to that meeting, you don't have that by the deadline, you're out. It's very competitive, they will fire you. So like, you just have to be ready for when you graduate to commit fully to what it is that you want to do, and to know that it's going to be difficult. It's more difficult than uni to learn those skills because no one's going to hold your hand.
And that's a great answer. And within that as well, you mentioned about the things that you had to do, the perseverance. You have to be mentally quite tough for that as well. I'm sure there were some very challenging, dark days. How did you kind of get through those?
Honestly, it was tough, and this is going to sound so cliche, and I'm sorry, but I'm a religious person. Like, I believe in God, and through this time, and I'm sorry that this isn't helpful if you're not religious, but through this time, my relationship with God became much closer. And I think just to build off of that, having a supportive network or somebody that you can call, a mentor. Like, I signed up for this. If any of you are women interested in the music industry, there's a mentorship program called Cat's Mother, and they put you in contact with someone who is in your industry, who's at exec level, and then you get to have a 30-minute talk with them, and then if they like you, you stay in contact. But I had someone like that, and also my partner's in the music industry and a couple of years ahead of me. So whenever I was just like, is this normal? Like, are people allowed to say things like this to me? Like, is this allowed? Because that's going to happen to you a lot if you work in corporate. Someone was always there to kind of bounce ideas off of and to affirm like what I was worried about or what I shouldn't be worried about. And I think that's important. If you're going to journey through something that no one in your family's ever done, then make sure you have like one voice, someone's email or a phone call or something that you can be like, hey, I just got this email that said I need to be in a meeting at 6 a.m. on a Sunday. Like, is this normal? And they'll be like, no, please set some boundaries, So I think that was like a big part of getting through it. And the funny part is when you're in uni, you think that you'll graduate and then suddenly the world's all like roses and daisies and everything's great. But actually you just have to get tougher and tougher. So once you graduate, then looking for a job is hard. Then when you get the job, you think it's amazing, but then actually doing the job well is hard, and then getting the promotion is hard. So you just kind of have to persevere and know that like it's worth it. So another reason why you should pick something you love to do.
100%. I think even though not everybody has a belief, but I think if you trust that the process is that you're not the all-encompassing power and you don't make the universe turn the way it does, then you can kind of have to hand it over to something and go, okay, things are going to be outside of my control, so I have to tap into something and just have that a belief system at least things will go.
Yeah.
If I put the energy in and I put the right attitude and the right work and kind of love into it, then the more positivity will come back, and I think that's the key thing, isn't it? As well.
Definitely faith. It doesn't have to be faith in a
The
particular
traditional sense
thing,
or whatever, yeah.
but even if it's just like faith in the process,
Exactly.
definitely helps when everything's going wrong.
100% agree with that. 100% agree. Lena, so from your perspective, you've just done a placement recently as well, haven't you? So within that placement, what kind of skills did they give you within that, and how did they help you with that? What's kind of been useful doing that placement and coming back to uni, and how has it helped you with your education going forward, and how's that probably going to help you going forward in your career as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, especially because I specialised in risk management and quantitative analytics, it wasn't a space that I didn't know very well. Majority of my modules at university were marketing based, so this was a very new field to me. So placement, as in my manager and everyone else and on the team, they offered training in terms of learning all the risk management aspects, keywords, when speaking to the higher senior management and candidates, knowing what key terms to use, how to use them, how to speak to them effectively, as well as persuasively. In terms of how I use those skills, so obviously because I had a lot of responsibilities across marketing, admin, as well as stakeholder management, multitasking was one of the key things that I developed even further during this placement year, especially because everything was under a time constraint. It's a very stressful environment, recruitment. So definitely I learned how to kind of manage everything, prioritize, and it really helped me, especially now in third year as well, how to dedicate, do a to-do list, try and prioritize the top things, and yeah, that definitely really helped me. As well as communication, I would say I was good at communication in second year, first year, but definitely in a placement, speaking to senior management that are 15 plus years experience more than you definitely feel, I don't want to say intimidated, but it's definitely something that you haven't experienced before, especially in university. I know you speak to your lecturers, but I feel like you have that relationship prior because you're in their lessons, you speak to them on the course. So definitely had to kind of build confidence to speak like that and learn about the job market, learn about their company, their cultures, their values of their company. And definitely when speaking to my manager, I would have 6 jobs on the go in one day, and I'd have to do the marketing, admin, and the stakeholder management all in one day. So I definitely, in speaking to my manager, say, oh, I need an extra hand, or I complete this task, like, do I need anything else to do? Like, that initiative is definitely something I'm bringing forward now into my final year.
Perfect, that's awesome. So some really nice insights there as well if you do a placement.
Yeah.
And how do you think that's going to get you kind of teed up for when you leave here as well? So what else is that giving you ready for when you leave university effectively?
No, definitely. I think one thing I would say is networking events. My confidence has built up tremendously, and I feel like when I go to networking events and speak to professionals, I can get onto that level with them and speak about the job market, speak about their company, and actually really value myself quite high to be able to speak to them professionally and effectively. So I definitely would say that.
Perfect. I'm going to start you off with this question, Suzanne, if you don't mind, if that's all right. Because when you mentioned networking, it's a big part of your role, and actually networking is really important, because it's like you could hit like loads of application forms and apply for loads of jobs, but actually most roles, a lot of roles come through networking. So it's the contacts you make, the people you talk to, and the people you're talking to now will probably be maybe future employers or etc. So again, it would just be really good for you to speak a little bit about networking and how you did it when you was at university and how that might have changed in the role that you're in now and how you're using it to your advantage now, outside of not just your work, but how it's helped benefit you.
Absolutely. Oh, network is my favorite question. So, my favorite thing to do. So, for sure, when I was at university, I didn't put any value into networking. I gotta be honest with you. By the way, I'm Polish, and I didn't sound like this a couple of years ago when I started university, okay? So I was a little bit on the shy side because I didn't want to like sound stupid or something like this with my English. But things has changed, whatever. And I actually regret not being a little bit bolder when I was at university, because when it comes to networking, guys, like this is the craziest, the best thing you can do. You can literally get someone's experience by asking them questions, just be freaking curious. And for me, what has changed is I started being curious. I literally started asking questions. I didn't want to be even like, employed here or there, but I started asking questions about like how did you build this company, or like how does like your sales team is built, like like the commission base, whatever, like I started asking questions, I started being curious. And people, because they like curious people in general, they find value in you. And passion in general is something that is very, very valuable, and you're gonna find people that are going to love you for your passion. But what has changed is I started asking those questions, and literally without me even thinking of and willing to, I started getting like job offers. And through my work, that happened, I swear, multiple times already, and I haven't taken any of them. Because also like I am diligent in the job that I'm doing, also because I always try to be personal and have a very personal approach to every single of my client, also because I'm exposed to so many people through my job and through all the events, etc. That has really helped me like opening my eyes to like possibilities. And honestly, LinkedIn is great to finding job, but you gotta put yourself out there. You gotta be curious. You gotta show that you are so valuable for this person that is standing in front of you, and the magic is gonna happen.
No, completely agree. I think it's nice that you've highlighted networking, because it is really important. I think most people, when they come to university, don't realise you're not just coming in for an education. The biggest other part of it is the networking opportunity, because that's what's going to help you get a role. And that's what the kind of public school system does really well. It gets jobs for people, and that's what you're doing here.
And you know what? And also, another example, guys, like you are in person here. For example, I work remotely 24/7. I work for New York, and this is the best opportunity you have right now, that you are here in person, like what's happening in the world right now. Everything is AI or everything is on Zoom, etc. Take the opportunity, like talk and like ask the friend that you're sitting next to or in front of, etc. Hey, what's up with you? Like, what's your plan? Like, do you know, I don't know, like the next step for you, or like, are you interested in this company? Blah blah blah. Just ask. Just be curious. Take opportunity of the fact that you are in person. I graduated in 2020, and it was COVID, it was pandemic. My graduation has been postponed 2 years, and honestly, seriously, this is awesome that you can be here in person. So just take the opportunity.
Excellent, thank you. I'm going to go over to you with this one, Bridget, because I think what I'd like to know from your perspective as well is, because obviously you've not just got the work aspect of it as well from your role, but also from your business perspective as well. So I'd quite like to understand from a business perspective, how does networking impact you from a business perspective with your own business?
Yeah, good question. For me personally, I'm an introvert, so I'm the complete opposite. I don't like talking unless I'm spoken to. But give me a mic and tell me to speak about something I'm passionate about. I'll ramble on forever. But I've kind of learned this year that, especially starting my business in May, you have to put yourself out there. I think it was a very popular speaker called Hayley Menenda, and she said that you're too broke to not be visible. And she posted it like a month ago, and it really like checked me, because I was thinking to myself, are you at the stage where you can start saying, I'm going to hide myself, I'm not going to put myself out there, I just want to be in my closet? Are you financially at that stage? Are you at the stage in your career where you can be like, I'm happy, I don't need to put myself out there, I don't need to speak to people? Most of us in this room would say no. So you kind of have to be visible. I think now in this era that we're in, technology, we are really lucky to have TikTok, we're really lucky to have Instagram, we're really lucky to have Facebook, all these platforms. And if you do decide to go down the business route, you have to put yourself out there, you have to leverage these platforms because they will be the platforms that will put you on the map, essentially. When I first started my business, my biggest customer now, because I couldn't speak up for myself, my friend had to basically get my biggest customer now. So me and my friend were at an event, and she was like, okay, Bridget, put yourself out there. You don't know who you might meet, who might need your products. And I was like, I don't really want to, I'm shy. And she went to one lady, and she didn't know that the lady's daughter had been suffering from eczema. She's 7 now, but she's been suffering all her life, and she's literally burnt all over her skin. And she had tried so many high brands, low brands, whatever you want to call it, and nothing was working for her. And she literally came to me frantic, and she was like, oh, your friend just told me, Danielle, just told me, you know, you have a skincare business, and how did you clear your eczema? I really need the cure, I really need the cure. And I was just like, you know what, Bridget, something was telling me, just speak up. Speak up and put yourself out there. And she's literally my biggest customer. Like, she's probably spent like, I don't know, £700 with me recently. And she always buys products every 2 weeks. And my products are like quite affordable as well. So for her to even spend that much, it shows how much she buys from me, if that makes sense. But that's a little example of, if my friend wasn't there, that would have been a missed opportunity. Do you get what I'm saying? So, you know, networking is really, really important. You may not want to go down the business route. You could be in your corporate space or whatever. If people notice that you're very closed off, that you don't talk, they're not going to put your name for, you know, employee of the month or employee of the year. They're not going to put your name forward for someone who needs to get a promotion. Speak to people around you. I was at this uni and I didn't really talk to anybody. And I regret it. Like you said, I regret it because you don't know who's sitting next to you. I think one of the unis, I think it was Aston University, the owner of Gymshark used to go there, literally. And people were probably sitting next to him in the university lectures thinking, you know, I don't need to talk to him, not knowing that he's going to be one of the richest guys in the room. So what I'm just trying to say is you don't know who's sitting next to you right now. You don't know who's going to be the richest person. You know who's going to be the kindest person. Speak to people around you, network. We're all going to go places. I pray for all of you that you're all going to be beautiful and amazing and successful people, but speak to people around you. Don't isolate yourself because you never know who or what you can be. Yeah.
That's great insight, great advice. And I think you're right. I think it's sometimes as well, some people are working for their family's companies and they might be looking for people as well when they go and take over a company, and they're looking for great people eventually. And if they make those connections, they could give you a call one day, or you go, do you know what, why do you come work at my parents' company, or come work with us, or my uncle, or whatever it is. And I think the fact that you mentioned friends as well, friends are a very important part of that, because without a friend being there by your side and supporting you, that opportunity might not come along, and again that just boosts you as well, doesn't it? So it's looking for it in all different places can really help you. Lynn, I'm going to go back to you with it, because I think from your perspective, what have you learned from a networking perspective, just being in your placement? How has that helped you kind of expand your network and taught you the value of networking?
Definitely. So I think I was actually introduced to networking in my placement year. I wasn't really aware of it until my manager would be going to networking events, and he actually tagged me along on one, and so I kind of saw it in real life basically. So you could only hear about it when they would come back from the networking events. And I would definitely say you're not going to just need it when you're graduates, you're going to need it for the foreseeable future really. It's definitely really important, and I would say it's one of the crucial skills you would need in your career, regardless of what field you're looking for. It would be that it's the most crucial one that you would need, and I think it would be very beneficial if you do start attending to industry events. I know the university do offer some, I've gone to some, so recently, the couple of last week, there was one, and I recently attended in London, Women in STEM, and it was towards graduates that are looking to get into technology and STEM. And they did say, you know, networking is very crucial, it's very important. Engage in those meaningful conversations. You can find out a lot by just asking, you know, what's the company's values, what's their culture like, what's kind of the recruitment process, what do you look for a successful candidate? All these questions and these answers will help you gain a better advantage than people that are not going to the industry events and not finding out what the company's looking for in their candidate, and you know, to be successful. So I definitely say it's really worth your while.
And I suppose from an internal perspective, you get, as you say, you're getting to know the people of the departments, which even if there might not be a role in the department that you're working in, there could be eventually in the future if you're speaking to the right people.
Definitely.
As well. Fantastic. Nova, you mentioned networking as well, because that was a very big part of you getting into the area that you're working within. Do you have some networking tips that you can maybe share with people to help them a little bit around that?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so there's two different types of networking. There's networking horizontally, which is networking up. Networking in your own level. And there's networking vertically, which is networking up. They serve two different purposes, and they're both very important, but you need to understand who you're speaking to. So for example, like if you go to an event and there's 4 panelists, and the majority of the event after the networking event is going to be networking horizontally, you need to know that it's going to be very unlikely that an opportunity will come out from that ratio, and that it's more important to speak to your peers at that event. Because if there's 4 panelists and there's like 40 of you, we won't remember you. Like, that's just, it's not that we don't want to, it's just unless you're really memorable, it's going to be competitive. So if you're looking to network up, like vertically, you need to put yourself in a room where the ratio of you to someone who's been in the industry 3 years more than you, 5 years more than you, is much higher. So it's never going to be 1-to-1, but if you can get somewhere where it's like a mixer, so there's like 20 execs and like 40 students, you have a way better chance of standing out and making meaningful connections and having people remember you. So that I learned the hard way because I went to a lot of panel talks and I introduced myself a lot and gave my elevator pitch, which is a 30-second pitch that you give of yourself, because business people usually don't have time, and nothing ever came of them. But in those events, I did end up speaking to people in my own level. Now those people are interns at like Sony, Warner, Universal. We get to speak about our experiences, and now that we're all in the music industry together, we leverage our networks between us. We all started at the same time to make things happen, to collaborate, to make things, you know, work. So don't underestimate what networking horizontally. I'm like directionally challenged.
I always get that one. I always get that one mixed up as well.
This way can do. It's still important, and you should still be looking to network with people who want to be in the same field as you. And then the other tip that I would have is that no connection is too small, and to take people seriously. So I know that all of you second years, they're second years?
Yeah, I'm not sure second level. I think it's a mix.
Yeah, okay, cool. So when I was in second year, I was a little bit of an idiot because I genuinely thought I knew better than everyone, and I certainly knows. I would mess around in classes. I wouldn't listen to people. I didn't take myself seriously, and because of that, I didn't take other people seriously. And there's a lot of connections that I missed out on because there's people in my class that right now are, you know, a year or two ahead of me in their career. And if I had just been nice to them and spoken to them instead of messing around, and they were taking school seriously and I wasn't, so clearly, you know, that obviously they don't want to be friends with me. So because of that, I missed out on a lot. I started taking school seriously in final year after doing a year abroad and realizing that the world's very big and there's a lot of people and they all want jobs. So take yourself seriously and take other people seriously, and don't ever underestimate the power of a bad first impression, because people have made bad first impressions with me, and now in the position where I'm at, if they applied for a position in my department, I would have to do my due diligence and let my supervisor know that this person wasn't serious, they were rude, they didn't do this, and that's not going to work in your favor, because especially, I don't know about your industries, guys, but music industry is small. Like, I came back to London from Toronto, and there's people I have in common with people in Toronto here, that we all know each other. So you have to be really careful of the impression that you're setting, and it has to be with everyone, because you don't know who is going to be who in 5 years.
I think that's a great insight and some fantastic tips there. I think you're completely right, because you've got to be careful who you upset as well, because they could end up being your boss one day, or you never leave anywhere on a bad note, because it can come back at you, because that person could walk in a couple of months' time and be your boss again, and then you're back out and you're in problems. I think I like what you said as well. I think it was once something I've used a bit myself with other areas outside of uni, but it's about taking the cotton wool out your ears, stop talking, start listening, put it in your mouth, and just shut up and listen. Because the big thing to communication is listening skills. It's listening to the other person, as you say, because you're only going to know what they want if you hear what they're saying and what they want. So I think that's great insight, completely. I'm going to stick with you a minute as well with the next question, which is obviously there were some difficulties for you because of the challenges within music, and obviously with what you were doing in the school, it's got nothing to do with music. So how did you what resources did you use? I mean, I know you've touched on going out of your way, attending things and things like that, but how did you hear about the networking events? How did uni at least give you some of those resources or tools to help you with that? And what else did you find off your own back, and how did you go about that to try and break into your industry?
So I'm going to touch on something that I did at uni that I think changed my life, and I didn't expect it to. I did a year abroad in Toronto, and I did a creative industries exchange at the Toronto Metropolitan. And I only went there because at the time I was an artist. And I don't know if you guys know, but if you move to Toronto and you can sing or rap and you meet the right people, you blow. That's kind of what's happening over there at the moment. It's like a hub for emerging musicians. So I was like, I'll go. Again, wasn't taking school seriously. And I'll do music, and then, I'll get famous and I'll drop out. So that was the plan. Obviously, I was so glad that didn't go the way that I thought it would. When I got there, I realized that I was not prepared to be an adult in the working world. I got a really nice job at an art gallery, and I very quickly realized that, I didn't want to be in art, and I didn't want to be a singer, because there's a lot of ethical issues there when you're a woman. So I wanted to be in music business. And then I met my now partner, who was in the music industry, and watching him do the amazing things that he was doing within his space, I fell in love with my industry. And it wasn't because of the perks, genuinely just love the everyday activities. So you have to make sure you love what's going to happen on the day-to-day rather than the milestones. And when I came back, that's what forced me to take school seriously. If I hadn't have gone abroad and had my dreams crushed by reality, then I wouldn't have realized that my dream wasn't feasible, first of all, and it would never have been as idealized as I'd had it in my head, and kind of pivoted to something way more suited to who I am as a person, and the lifestyle eventually that I'll want to lead in 10, 20 years. So if you guys get a chance, I know you're in second year now, the applications for year abroad, I don't know when they go out.
Yes, on the week 7 lecture slides.
Yeah.
And also look at course Blackboard announcement 2 weeks ago. We posted for placement year study abroad.
It's
Thank you so
incredible.
much.
No, seriously, it changed my life. And you can even just go you don't even have to have a specific goal about where it is that you're going. I think the University of Westminster has a partnership with the University of Honolulu in Hawaii. If your goal is, if your
I'll
goal,
go there.
it's not so much about going there thinking, I have to meet all these, because I didn't have that. It's more, you get to live somewhere on your own, you have to learn independence, you have to live off the skin of your own back, and that forces you to have certain skills that you would not find otherwise. And being in a new environment, you will end up meeting people that will naturally take you under their wing, and you might witness them doing things that you'll be like, I didn't know that I could look after elephants. Maybe that's what I want to do with my life. Something you wouldn't experience here in the UK. and it's expensive to live abroad if you're not a student with student loans. So like definitely think about that and see if it's something that's feasible for you and plausible with your family, because if I hadn't done that, I would probably not have a job right now and be singing in some like back alley for pennies.
But I think the fact that you said you actually chased your dreams and tried, and that's the thing, you've succeeded. Because I think, you know, that was the same for me. I was initially, didn't even think I was a session singer, then I was a rapper of all things. Yeah, I don't look like I did then, trust me. There's a photograph showing my students. I look very different. But again, at least for me, it was, I got certain success in my career, but for me it was all about the fact that I tried. And that in itself is success. You've done the best you can with the abilities you've got and the aptitude that you can, and you've gone as far as you can go, and that's fine, you've succeeded. It might not be to the levels that you think about other people, but we've got to stop comparing ourselves to others and just focus on stay in our lane and just what's important in that respect.
I mean, if I can add just one more
Of
thing.
course you can.
I think that it's really important when you're trying to figure out what you want to do, because not everyone is privileged enough to know in university, or even 5 years after university, is the thing that brings you joy, you can make money out of that. It doesn't matter how small it is. Like, it doesn't matter if it's like friendship bracelets or you paint rocks. Like, with social media now, you can make money, or you can make kind of a career out of anything that brings you joy. And I know your parents are going to be like, please don't sell rocks on the internet. But if that's what makes you happy, it's like so much more important, because listen, I know like being in a career 50 years sounds short right now, but when you're doing that every day for 50 years and things are going wrong and you have debt and car payment and a mortgage, that job has to push you forward. Like, it needs to inspire you to do more and to survive. So when you're picking what it is that you want to do, don't focus on what's going to make me the most money or what's going to be fun for right now. Focus on what brings me joy. What can I do every day for the rest of my life? And if you can't answer that question, that is not the job for you. And try everything, because you're only 20-something. You haven't tried enough to know exactly what it is that you want to do.
I think that's so true, that's lovely. I think even if you're selling rocks today, painting is your passion, you know, that might lead you into another area that actually evolves into something else, because we do evolve as we get older, things change, etc., and our passions change, but actually that one can lead you into another, and you're not quite sure where your pathway is ever going to take you. You can go on a journey. I'm going to make some of the questions up a little bit now, because I'm conscious of time as well, and I want the guys to have the opportunity to ask some questions as well. So I'm just going to build a little bit on the last question with you, Alina. So just from a resource perspective, how did you find out about placements, and what did you do about that?
I actually found out about placement year through my family, actually. My cousin's actually done a placement year at a different university, and it kind of made me, this was before I even went to University of Westminster, when it came to sixth form and actually applying to universities, I actually chose University of Westminster because it gave that option of doing exchange abroad and a placement year. I was more intrigued in the placement year, but obviously that's also an amazing opportunity as well. But I would really recommend placement year. I know all of you are second year. And what have you got to lose if you do a placement year?
Bravo.
Yeah, what have you got to lose? But I think there's more pros than there are cons. It gives you, it benefits you. You're one step ahead of other students. You know, the people that were in third year in my time. You have that ability to, you know, when I'm going to graduate now, when I go into interviews, I already have that prior experience in an actual corporate world. You know, it's good to have experience, you know, that you've done, let's say, you know, retail or, you know, as a waitress or anything like that. That's good. But actually having experience in a corporate world will give you that competitive advantage that not majority of people have. I think in my placement year in University of Westminster, I think there must have been maybe 20 students out of, 350 students?
350, I think around almost 30 this year, yes?
I think so, yeah.
Maybe.
30, yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
so
Please think
I would
about
definitely
it,
say it's beneficial for people that don't know, you can do a placement year, and it's very beneficial. I think it will help you in the long run, especially when you do graduate. So yeah.
Fantastic, thank you for that endorsement of placements. That's really beneficial. Suzanne, I'm going to go to from a CV perspective. Have you? I'm assuming you've done many a CV and probably looked at some even. What do you think? What do you think gives you potentially an edge on your CV? How does your CV stand out? How do you make it stand out? What kind of tips can you give to the students about how it could get kind of noticed?
Well, also a great question. I for sure. When I started with my professional life, I was, by the way, 18, and I did work in retail as well. However, my second job in retail was a very also niche. As you can see, I love niche jobs. My second job ever was actually, I'm certificated diamond specialist, which is kind of crazy to think, and I was 20 when I got the certification. But also got this job for networking. But that experience really gave me a really weird niche of also like working with very, very, very high-end clientele. And I think that was something that really also helped me land the job that I'm currently at, because I was able to like negotiate on a different level. I was also able to sell, upsell, cross-sell, love it. So also, like, you know, like the connection that you make, this job, like the like selling diamonds, also like investment gold, etc. That was like the company that I worked for. This is like very niche. We were talking about like very big money as well involved, and that exposure to this world gave me a very big like competitive advantage as well when I was applying for a job that I'm currently at. And my tip for CV, something that I learned very hard way, is the numbers matter. And this is something that, please guys, remember when you write your CV, it's so important to measure your success at university or at any work that you've done. I don't know, like how you, like increase the sales, or like even if you work in like Inditex store on Oxford Street, like I used to, that is measurable, and your future employers, they're looking for the measured achievements. So this is something that I 100% would say that is what they're looking for. That's when you are much more like, measurable, I guess. So that would be my top tip for sure. And obviously doing what you love. I always say that if you do something with passion, the money will follow. So, risk it and put it in your CV.
100%. And Bridget, I'm just going to ask you a question here on how did you actually get into your role, though, that you were in outside of your own business? So how did you get into that?
That's a good question. I actually think it was through networking as well, surprisingly. I think I just put myself on LinkedIn, and then I got a call from a recruiter, or no, a message from a recruiter, because that's how it starts. They message you, and I thought it was like an automated message, because you get those automated messages or whatever. But then something was just telling me, she was just like, oh, I would like to speak to her. And I was like, okay, so I gave her my number, which I don't like doing, because then again, I don't know who the person is. But then, so she just put me forward, and she was, I think, what they do is they have that one conversation with you, and they kind of gauge if you're fit for the role or other roles that they have lined up for you. So even that conversation, I took it like it was the real interview. I was very open with her. I was, outspoken. Even though I'm an introverted person, I made sure that I was very outspoken and bold. And she was like, you know what, there's just something about you. And I think that's something that a lot of recruiters or like employers always say about me, and I don't know what it is, but they always say there's just something about you. Yeah, they always say there's just something about you that we kind of just click with. So to answer your question, sometimes I go off and I don't know if I will.
We all do that, trust me. Yeah.
Yeah, so what was your question?
No, so just around kind of how you broke in, really, and like you say, so it's kind of.
Yeah, I am in
Interesting
line,
way.
sorry. Oh my gosh, guys, don't mind
That's
me.
all right.
Yeah, so literally, yeah. So just be yourself. That's literally it. Be yourself. Whatever opportunity comes, it may not be like a role you want or whatever, but just take it, because I didn't know speaking to her would help me to speak to the actual interviewer, and he said the exact same thing that she said. There's just something about you, and we're not going to interview the rest, everybody else. We're just going to go with you.
Amazing.
So yeah.
Fantastic. We're going to open it up to questions in a minute, guys. So if you have a think, I'll also give you the opportunity. I've had quite a few questions on here, which is fantastic so far. So thank you for that, and I will ask some of those questions in a moment. And you're welcome to put your hands up, so I'll probably intersperse that a little bit. So I'm just going to finish off just from my questions. I would like you just have a little think about this. So I'll put this out while I put this out there. But what top 3 pieces of advice do you have for your students navigating their careers? So top 3 things, just kind of in a nutshell. Any of you can start that if you would like to, or I can go
I'm
over.
ready.
Go for it, Nova. Go for it.
Find something that you love, as we've already mentioned, and don't stop. Become tunnel vision about it. Don't stop until you are in that position, because I think kind of stupidly, my parents thought stupidly, I turned down like 3 or 4 job offers when I was a fresh grad a few months ago, because I wasn't willing to work in any other industry, and I didn't really care how much they paid me or what the perks were. And because of that, I'm in the position I am now. So find something that you love, don't stop till you get there, and on your resume is for selling yourself, and your cover letter is for kissing up to the company. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bridget?
The first thing that came to mind is actually you don't have to have it all figured out. I think the world and social media, if I could just say one thing and not say 3, that's the one thing I would say. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to have all the answers now. You're not going to have all the answers. I don't think anyone has all the answers.
Even I don't know.
Yeah, so
At my age.
yeah, literally, like, and one thing I'll say is just try not to listen to social media, because social media is going to make you feel like you need to have everything now. You know, you need to have your house, you need to have your car, you need to have everything sorted, and everything will fall in line. If you're navigating your career, do not feel pressured by the external factors. Just see yourself in your own. Everyone's running their own race, essentially. Someone might be running faster than you and they trip up by the time it gets to the finish line. So you might be like slower than everybody else, and you make it and it's slow and steady and you win the race and you're the only person to win. So you're running your own race. That's my first advice. Second advice, be optimistic. Be optimistic, explanatory. Third one, I would say be open-minded. I think it links with the first one. Be open-minded. Life can take you anywhere. Opportunities can fall in your lap. Today, you can be sitting here and just thinking, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. And tomorrow's an amazing opportunity will come. So be open-minded, be receptive to whatever opportunities come your way. That's pretty much it.
Thank you. Very nice. Suzanne?
Okay, so I am here to advocate for you because I know 20s are very, very hard, and we gotta admit that. And I think we have to realize that our 20s are not gonna last forever. You have to have an understanding that probably when you graduate, you're not gonna land the job that you really want. Or maybe you will, like if you're like Nova and you're very, very smart and lucky.
You won't get any sleep.
Either or. But you gotta think about your 20s as a period of time when money and your paycheck doesn't matter, okay? And I wish someone told me this, because I was really money focused at the very beginning. That's why I also did finance, by the way. Not doing it anymore. Think about your 20s as a period of time when your paycheck, basically like the money you put in your brain, okay? This is a period of time when you have the most capacity, brain capacity to learn. and to expose yourself and find a person that, like professionally, that you're like, damn, I want to be like this person. Prove your value to them and somehow try to ask them to be your mentor. Or like, you know, don't be too pushy as well, respectful. But this is a time for you to really, really open your mind to learn. You, again, don't focus about your paycheck, because seriously, that, again, like if you're gonna do something with passion, real passion, the money will follow, and that's my second advice. And the third advice that I also mentioned a couple of times already, be curious, ask those questions, try to network, get out of your comfort zone. Dang, like this is the time of your life. When do you want to do it? Like not when you have family, right? So this is the time for you to do it and do this work placement, do this very niche job. I don't know, like go abroad. For me, it was also like studying here. It was way out of my comfort zone, as I said. Like I barely spoke English, even though on tests I was doing very well. But in real life, I didn't. And seriously, in general, if you have opportunity of like having a experience of living, working, studying abroad, do it. That was the best thing that has ever happened in my life. The way I grew as a person, as a professional, you know, like, I don't know, like student or like, and professional in general. And yeah, like in every single way, in every single aspect, that is going to help you. So yeah.
Thank you, Susanna. And I'm going to slightly rephrase the question a little bit for you, if you don't mind, which is just from what about from a navigating perspective of how it's going to help you with your career, but what 3 tips of advice you would give for placement effectively as well? So that, I think that's the key thing, and helping you with your career.
Yeah, no worries. I'm going to merge mine all into one. So I would say take advantage of what the university offers. They offer placement, they offer internships, they offer career services. I don't know if you guys have touched base on that, but you can go on the career services at the university, book a meeting with a staff of the University of Westminster. They can have a look at your CV, tailor it to a specific job that you want. If you are looking to do placement, which I advise you everyone does that in this room. This will really help you build that confidence. Even if you get rejections, it's resilience that's the most important thing here. I will tell you that I started, I think, early January applying to my placement year, and I didn't get it up, I think, until late July, early August. So imagine that's maybe 7-8 months of me actually applying and improving each stage. Every rejection I got, I had an Excel sheet, guys. I wrote every job that I applied for, and some I got interviews, some I got to the offer stage. Bear in mind, at the end of me applying, I think I got 4 offer stages, and then I had to, kind of do a pros and cons for each one, and which one I decided to go with. But I would definitely say that use what the university offer. They have so many things, and I'm sure you guys, if you actually do the research, it will actually really benefit you. And another thing I'll say, LinkedIn, super important. Build that portfolio on LinkedIn. Your CV should be replicated on your LinkedIn. I got my job on LinkedIn.
I got my job.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone else.
Absolutely, LinkedIn 24/7.
Exactly, everyone's on LinkedIn. That's professional social media.
As you all are.
Yesterday lecture was about LinkedIn.
LinkedIn,
So
yeah.
please watch the recorded lecture. Yes.
LinkedIn is super important, and majority of professionals get their job on LinkedIn. So I would say replicate your CV onto LinkedIn, and recruiters will call you, message you, like the others said as well. I would do that. I was a recruiter. I'd message professionals on LinkedIn. Oh, do you think you're interested in this job? Get on them on the phone, and they would get the offer. So I would say, those are my tips.
Fantastic. Wow. Definitely talking a little bit because I've got to read out some questions, so I can't really on behalf of others. I think I'm just going to ask a question now. What I'm going to do is probably open it out. So, who who would like to, I might have ones that might be specific, but I'll kind of open field if you want to kind of chip in. You're more than one of you is welcome to answer a question. And also as well as if you want to ask any of the members, any particular member of the panel a question, you can do as well. So that's absolutely fine. But I'll read a couple off here quickly straight away. One of the first questions I got through was, what is the hardest thing in the corporate industry? Nova, go on, politics.
Listen, politics.
That's the same here. It's the same here, Nova. Don't worry.
So bad. I mean, okay, let me not say it's bad. It's very different from everything you've had up until this point. People at university want to support you, but people in the office, you're competition. Okay, you're young, you're smart. If you're pretty, then it probably doesn't work in your favor either. Like, that especially like if it's your direct manager, obviously you want to support you because they're putting their neck out on the line for you. But if it's someone like another intern, or if it's someone in the same level as you in a different department, they want to move to your department, and they might like send little quips at you, or be kind of hoping for you to fail, or be hoping like kind of like what's it called, fishing? Yeah, fishing for like negative feedback from other people that they can pass to your department. So that is going to be really tough for you to deal with and to handle, because when I was at university I was a hothead and I would never have anyone disrespect me like that. But in a corporate world, I have to allow it to happen, especially if it's someone who's senior to me, and you kind of have to take it on the chin and
Take it like a champion.
yeah, and keep your head down and just do your work and trust that your work speaks for you, because one wrong word or one kind of not angry word, but one petty word to the wrong person, you're out.
Yeah.
It's too competitive to make mistakes in corporate world. Yeah.
It's tough. It's very tough. I'm going to throw this one at you because there's two questions, the same question twice. So it's obviously something that people want to ask. Does a placement year, what kind of guarantees do you get from a placement year? Is it like 100% you're going to find a job, or why are there any guarantees effectively off the back of it?
That's a very good question. I would say, for me personally, my experience, I actually got an offer back to go back to my placement year in September after I graduated. So for me, it was very successful. Cecily knows, she came to my placement year with Gustavo, and they spoke with my manager. All good, I heard. Maybe she lied, I'm not sure. But it will give you an opportunity to showcase your strengths, what you have to show for yourself. And if you get on well, you're very successful, then why not give you a graduate job after you finish graduation? I mean, you graduate.
And I'm sure it adds on your CV, doesn't it?
Of
and
course.
everything anyway. So even if you don't get offered a placement
Of course.
you fundamentally people will reach out to you anyway. And it's
Definitely.
great on your CV.
Definitely, because you already have that corporate experience, and you're one step ahead of others that didn't get the opportunity to do that. So I would definitely say it's a benefit, regardless if you get it called back or not.
Perfect. I'm going to open it up a little bit. So has anybody got a question they would like to ask? If you put your hand up, and I'll bring over, and you can ask away. If there's any particular question you have for the panellist, a particular question for any one of the panellists, or if there's any general questions you might have. Don't be shy. Fantastic. Yeah, you ask away.
I wanted to also know, where did you realise that you developed those skills in the international year?
Okay, this is a good one. I spent the first 3 months. Am I allowed to be honest?
You can go for it, be honest.
I spent the first 3 months partying and crying on and off, and nothing else. So I missed home, and to supplement the fact that I didn't have a community.
This is for your international year.
This is my international year. I also went to classes. And I did well. But I supplemented the fact that I didn't have a community there with finding community in the nightlife, which happens a lot in a big city. And then I had an epiphany, like January time, and I realized that like I was wasting the time that I was there not doing important things, because I'm not from an affluent background, so I wouldn't get an opportunity to go to Toronto again on the government's dime or on someone else's dime. It'd have to be on my own. So I actually walked into a random shop that day that I was having this epiphany, and there was a man there who owned an art gallery, and we got to talking, and I talked about how much I loved art, and he said like, do you want to come and be a gallery assistant for a couple months? And I did that, and through that I got to organize like a red carpet press event, and I did a bunch of like social media marketing, and it kind of snowballs. I think once you decide to take your dreams seriously, this is so cliche, it will snowball. Like your attention will naturally shift to the things that are going to provide the best opportunities for you without you even realizing. If I had walked into that store and been in my head thinking I'm going out later or whatever, then I probably wouldn't have been so open to speak to this man about my interests, and he wouldn't have offered me that job, and then I wouldn't have had a work experience out of it. So where your attention sits, I think, is where your life tends to lead. So I think that's how you know when your skills are developing, is just shifting your attention, and it just snowballs.
That's a good answer. Does anybody else want to add anything on that question? It's okay. Yeah, you haven't probably done those areas, have you? So, anybody else would like to ask a question? Please put your hands up. I'm going to bring the mic around if that's okay, because I want the recording to pick it up. You've got a mic. Thanks, James.
I wanted to ask you something, Joy.
Oh, I don't think it's on.
I wanted to ask,
You're there now.
how do you take your first steps to develop your business and your products? Like, what research should you do, like, to develop yourself and your skills necessary?
Yeah, so luckily, I don't know, the universe, or let me say God. Yeah, I believe God. God made me pick business and management. So a lot of the research that I had to do was already there because of what they teach you. Even just like one of the modules will do analytics in data. I was really it wasn't entering my brain, but it was something that now I'm realizing it was so useful. So a lot of the research was already there. So yeah, one piece of advice, I guess, take all your modules serious, because you don't know where or what you're going to need to apply it to in the future. And as well as that, I always tell people Google is free. Like, thank God, a lot of this information they don't give us, they don't charge us for it. So a lot of the times people say that they don't know, or ignorance is something that is a limitation. So I guess research, like if you want to start a skincare business, you need to research about the law as well, because what the law allows you to do. Like, for example, I had to research in the UK, you have to make it visible in your products what the ingredients are, what they have, what the name of it is. There's a lot of laws that they have, and if you're making chemical-based products, there's regulations you need to follow. So like I said, research and using Google is so important. On top of that, in relation to my business, I guess one of the other aspects of research that I had to do was learning the algorithm. I think when I used to post before, my posts used to blow up. But now when I post, because like TikTok is so oversaturated, it's so hard to get, like, I don't know what it is, but even now I'm still getting my mind around it, but it's so hard. Every month it's changing, the algorithm, and you kind of have to stay on top of technology. I mean, we were born in technology, but yeah, I still find myself struggling. So, like I said, you have to be open to research. You're going to be learning every day. Your learning is never going to stop. There's no threshold. It has to continue in order for you to thrive. So, yeah.
That's a great answer. I think, as you say, the legislation around everything is very important, isn't it? Because there's heavy consequences, isn't it? If you don't get that right, you can get fined heavily and all sorts of things. You mentioned a little bit about tech there as well, and algorithms and stuff. How is AI helping you within your role and also your business as well?
Good question. So obviously, don't use AI when you're writing your essays. So I don't want to be promoting bad things. But when you come outside, I think AI, some people aren't as privileged in terms of their knowledge, or let's say their grammar, education. So sometimes you may write like a paragraph, and let's say you're about to post something, or you're about to send a cover letter or something, and it's not formed or structured in the right way. AI will help you to do that. So as much as technology is growing, you can utilize it, obviously you come out of uni or in your essays, but you can utilize it to help you. I think another thing as well, AI is really good in terms of generating ideas. Sometimes you'll get writer's block, I write essays, even up till now, I just write like little articles and stuff like that. You get writer's block even when you're having ideas for your business or just ideas. Maybe your manager's asking you a question and you don't really know it. AI is going to be your best friend, so it will help you to generate ideas as well, and from that you can bounce off of it. So yeah.
No, that's really good, and I think that helping you structure sometimes as well. So it's all your own thoughts, your own words, but it kind of just helps you formulate a little bit. Especially if any of you are neurodiverse as well, that helps with that definitely.
Yeah.
From that perspective, I'm just going to go back to the computer here, just because a good question here around. So I find this with quite a few students as well. So they're applying for jobs on LinkedIn as well as like going to other areas. But they're finding that unfortunately they're not getting a positive response from that. So have you got any tips on how they can actually improve that response rate when applying for roles on LinkedIn? I'm going to use Zara first.
Okay, so when it comes to LinkedIn, I always use it as like a sort of search platform, and I never apply with LinkedIn, but I apply through the company page, for example. And that gives you a huge advantage already. And like that would be my first tip, because I've been there as well. I've applied to like hundreds of jobs, seriously, during pandemic. Not much of success, but you know, like on LinkedIn, literally every single company is going to post the job on LinkedIn. But then when you apply through LinkedIn, I know that you can easily apply, and I know it's convenient, and sometimes we're lazy and fed up sometimes with applying. But seriously, just take this step further and go to the company's website, and then go to careers and find the equivalent of the job. And that somehow, I don't know how exactly, but it gives you the advantage, because there's actually less people finding the job through the page than for LinkedIn, because everyone is on LinkedIn and everyone is going to try to find a job.
And I think that's a really good tip, because I think one of the reasons for that as well, because if you could go directly through that company, it shows that you're interested in that company.
Exactly.
And that's where it kind of sets you aside from the others, because you think, well, they proactively looked at my company, they must be interested in my company, really want to work for my company, so therefore that kind of sets you aside a little bit as well, doesn't it?
I want to add something.
Yeah,
I would
sure.
say also tailor your CV is very important.
100%.
Some people, I'm sorry, but some people just send a generic CV that they have for all jobs. That's not going to cut out for this. I'm sorry guys, sorry to break the news. You have to tailor your CV to every job description and every job that you want to apply for. Tailor it. It's going to save you so much time, and it will improve that kind of initial stages. That will set you a difference to everyone else, and it will help you get further in the process. That's another top tip.
And I think, is that the same, so I'm just building on another question, which is kind of a build on that question, but like using things like Indeed as well. So if you're using some of the other like recruiter
Indeed is
engines
better.
and things like that, and Indeed
Indeed is better.
is better than LinkedIn.
I would say I can only speak about marketing jobs, but yeah,
Sure.
Indeed is better in terms of as a job finding platform. There's much fewer jobs on there, but they are all actively
Responsive.
seeking. Yeah,
They're very responsive
that's
on
the
that.
difference, is that
Right.
people like to boost their company profiles on LinkedIn. So they open up jobs to make it seem like they're always hiring because they're so successful.
Yeah.
But they're not actively seeking for those roles.
Right.
And that's what we call ghost jobs, and there's hundreds and thousands of them.
So you get rejection basically because there isn't a job in the
Yeah,
first
you
place.
Yeah.
almost, you know it's a ghost one when you get auto-rejected. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had a question.
That's okay.
Sorry, I had a question that I've been applying for jobs since last year, and even in the university, but all I get is rejections. Like,
I would say if you get to, you said the university has
Yeah.
like a resume.
Career. Have you tried out careers?
I did.
And you've spoken to the careers people
Yeah.
about your
But
CV.
Rachel, I remember the email from Employability Service. They told you to change your CV. Do you remember?
I did
You need
change
when did
it.
you? The last email is what I remember. Okay, then it's fine.
Also, another thing is that, well, guys, take advantage obviously of AI, and there are so many different services now that can help you tailor your CV.
There's actually one the university provides called Career Set.
I was about to say that.
So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
The first grad job I applied to, I applied way out of my reach, and I applied when I was still at uni, so I thought I wasn't going to get it. And they actually gave me an offer because it was like my resume was exactly matched to their ATS system. But I couldn't take it because I was still at uni.
But that's the thing, is thinking outside the box with it, isn't it? It's not just, it's looking at other ways. There's lots of different ways to kind of get in there, isn't there, as well?
Even the design of your resume has to align with what sector you're going into. I know for a fact that the finance resumes are the traditional ones that people used to send from 10, 20 years ago, because that's what finance people like to read. It's simple, you get to the information fast. But for marketing, if you don't have color or shapes or some design on your resume, immediately in the trash pile.
Yeah, so there's another nice, Bridget's.
Something. I would also say as well, don't take rejection as a bad thing, because the right job will actually just come. It's there for you. I know it's a cliche statement, it's something that people always say all the time, but in my process of like applying for jobs, I didn't want to start working until this September, but then I just applied for a month, but I literally prayed about it and I just said, you know what, I'm applying this month, and I want to, even though my friends were saying the job market's really bad and how are you going to do it, you need to at least leave like 6 months to apply. I have one of my friends who was unemployed for like a year, but the right job came, and with me I was applying for only a month, and because I just had an optimistic mindset, I got like 15 different interviews in that month. And even the interviews that I had, there were some jobs because that's one thing that they're complaining about on LinkedIn right now, but they're speaking about how some recruiters, they just want to like waste your time. So don't take rejection as a bad thing, because even you being rejected is kind of like a blessing in disguise. Some recruiters might just want to waste your time to fill in quota. That's another thing that they don't speak about. But the right job will come, and when the right job comes, even in your workplace, your work environment, everything is going to flow beautifully. When I got my job, I knew it was the right job because it was just like favor, everybody favoring me. Everybody was like, it's like I was the only person that was hired. But if I had gone for the other job role offer that I had, that was higher pay, they weren't for me. I could just tell like they weren't for me. They didn't really like me. I was just filling in the quota. So yeah, don't take rejection as a bad thing. It's a good thing, and you'll get the right job.
Also, one more question. Sorry. Like, since you have a skincare brand, so how do you gather people to test your product, like to buy your?
Yeah, to buy my product. That's a good question. I think. That's the thing with skincare, because you have to prove that it's effective before people can trust you. But I think I'm very, very transparent. I think that's one thing that's drawn a lot of customers to me. I'm very transparent with the products I use. I'm very transparent with my journey. I think me showing people my skin when I was 7 years old, there's some pictures that a lot of people wouldn't show because it's like, oh, jump scare. But me being transparent and showing my skin, how my neck was when I was 7, it's made people be like, whoa, she could transform her skin like that. What's inside of that jar? So be transparent. Don't hide anything, don't sugarcoat anything. Let people know your journey from A to Z. If you look at the biggest brands, the biggest companies right now, transparency got them to where they are. So yeah, I hope that helps.
Thank you. One last question.
Earlier we talked about technology and the economic development, so I have a question. For your business per se, do you mainly use technology and social media platform for marketing products?
Yeah, I mainly use technology, but like I said before, the algorithm recently has been, I think anyone that's on social media, it's been an issue. So I am trying to get into traditional methods of marketing. I think I have people around me that have like really successful businesses, and they used to say that they used to get like business cards and put it on people's cards. And that's something that I was doing, that's something I'm doing. Even just being in a grocery store and speaking to somebody, you might see a girl that's like, for me, I have a skincare business for eczema and acne, etc. But you might see a little girl that's struggling, or you can visibly see that she has eczema. When we're speaking about being an extrovert, or networking, that's where it comes into play. You see her with her skin, you see she may have eczema or acne, you'd be like, oh hey, I have a skincare business, I don't know, do you want to try some products? You know what I mean? So yes, social media is there, but don't let it be a limitation. Use natural methods of marketing as well. But yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you for your question, for your answers, guys. Thank you for your questions.
I've got one more question.
Okay, go for
What is
it.
it that you guys do now?
What is it that I do? Or
All of you.
Oh, I'll start. So I work for the SFO, so the Serious Fraud Office is under the government.
Um,
And my business.
Not to forget. I'm a client success manager for C-Suite, and I work in PR.
I'm in music marketing and I just secured a role at Fender.
I'm a final year business management student, currently applying to grad schemes.
Have you just done a placement?
And I've done a placement year, sorry about that.
Perfect. Thank you. Just a little bit of students. You've got some feedback forms there. If you could please complete them, that would be fantastic about this event, because it just helps us for future events. And you could get the opportunity to win a £20 Amazon voucher as well if you do. But finally, thanks again to our panel. That was amazing insights, some great questions as well from you guys. We're also going to post some resources as well, and that's going to be via email, so keep an eye out for that. But finally, if you could all just give a nice round of applause, so I guess we couldn't say anything. And now, what we're going to do for this last part, for about 20 minutes or so, you'll have the opportunity to network with our panel as well, which obviously we've discussed the importance of networking, so I suggest that you do so, and I'm sure the guys will be welcome for your questions as we discuss it. Thanks a lot, guys.